Welcome to Senior Relationship After 60. Did you know that nearly 1 out of every 3 Americans over the age of 60 is single today? That's millions of people, widowed, divorced, or never married, stepping into a stage of life where companionship, romance, and yes, even passion are still very much alive. And here's the part nobody talks about. Surveys show that most of these seniors openly admit they still crave intimacy and are actively searching for meaningful connections. That means you're not alone, even if society has made you feel invisible. Now pause and imagine this. What if the second half of your life could actually be the most exciting chapter of love you've ever known? What if the pressure, the insecurities, and the confusion of young dating were gone, and what was left was pure honesty, genuine companionship, and the freedom to finally love without apology? Believe it or not, many seniors today are saying exactly that. Some describe dating after 60 as liberating, like tasting love for the very first time, but with the wisdom and confidence of a lifetime behind them. But here's the challenge I'll pose to you. What if I told you that falling in love after 60 could be more thrilling, more authentic, and yes, even sexier than when you were 30? Sounds bold, doesn't it? Yet it's true, and throughout this video we're going to uncover why. And before we dive in, let's set the tone together. If this message is already striking a chord, don't just sit back. Tap that like button. It's not just a click. Every like helps raise the voices of seniors, ensuring that conversations about love, dating, and intimacy after 60 are seen, heard, and celebrated. Your simple action helps break the silence and reminds the world that love doesn't expire with age. It evolves. So stick around, because the next part may just rewrite everything you thought you knew about relationships in this stage of life. Let me introduce you to Seraphine. At 66 years old, she carries herself with the grace of someone who has lived a full and meaningful life. For decades, she worked as a school principal in Florida, guiding generations of children, supporting teachers, and being the rock that held her community together. Her days were filled with ringing bells, stacks of papers, parent meetings, and the endless stream of little voices calling her name. She was respected, admired, and depended on. But when the school doors closed for the last time at her retirement party, Seraphine walked into a new silence she had never known before. She had given her best years to her students, her children, and her marriage. But after her divorce at 62, she suddenly found herself sitting at a dinner table with an empty chair across from her. The house that had once been full of laughter now echoed with quiet. And though she told herself she was fine, busy with volunteering, reading, and gardening, late at night she felt a different kind of loneliness creeping in. It wasn't just the absence of company. It was the longing for someone who looked at her not as a mother, not as a retired professional, but as a woman still capable of love and passion. Now, many people in Seraphine's position would resign themselves to solitude, convincing themselves that romance has an expiration date. But Seraphine did something different. She made a decision. She told herself, "I've spent my whole life helping others step into their futures. Why not step into mine?" And with a trembling hand, she signed up for her very first senior dating app. She attended local events she once would have avoided. Wine tastings, community theater nights, even a line dancing class where she was by far the most hesitant person in the room. But each step forward gave her a small reminder that her story wasn't over yet. What makes Seraphine's journey so powerful is that it's not extraordinary. It's relatable. Many of you watching right now might feel the same tug she felt. The fear that maybe it's too late to start over, or that love has already passed you by. But let me ask you, have you been in Seraphine's shoes, wondering if companionship, intimacy, and love are still possible after 60? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your story might inspire someone else who's silently asking the same question tonight. And here's the truth. Seraphine's courage to step into the unknown is exactly what opened doors she never imagined. Because while the world around her said, "Slow down, settle in," she chose instead to open up, try again, and write a new chapter for herself. And in the process, she discovered something many seniors overlook. Love isn't limited by age. It's limited only by the courage to seek it. breaking myths about senior love. Let's take a moment to challenge some of the most common myths about senior love and relationships, because if we don't confront them head-on, they quietly convince people that their chance at happiness is already over. The reality couldn't be more different. One of the biggest misconceptions is that seniors are no longer interested in dating, companionship, or even romance. Yet, research across the US tells a very different story. In fact, older adults are the fastest-growing group on dating platforms designed specifically for them, such as SilverSingles, OurTime, and even mainstream apps that now cater to mature daters. The reason? Seniors are realizing that technology isn't just for the young. It's a tool that allows them to connect with people who share their stage of life, their experiences, and their values. For someone like Seraphine, this wasn't just about finding a date. It was about discovering a new circle of companionship in a safe and intentional way. Another myth that lingers in our culture is the idea that sex and intimacy fade away after 60, as though desire has an expiration date. Nothing could be further from the truth. Many seniors actually report that intimacy improves with age. Why? Because with maturity comes freedom. Freedom from the insecurities of youth, from the pressure to perform, and from the rush of timelines. At this stage of life, intimacy is less about perfection and more about connection, comfort, and joy. Countless surveys show that couples over 60 describe intimacy as deeper, slower, and more meaningful than they ever experienced in their younger years. It's not about age. It's about authenticity. And here's another myth worth addressing: the belief that companionship somehow becomes less important with age. On the contrary, emotional companionship often becomes even more valuable. After decades of responsibilities, careers, and raising families, many seniors find that what they truly want is someone to share everyday life with. A hand to hold on walks, a laugh over morning coffee, a presence in the quiet moments. Physical attraction may spark a connection, but it is the emotional bond that sustains it. This is why so many seniors say their relationships now feel richer than the ones they had in earlier decades. So here's my question for you. What myth about senior dating have you heard the most? Drop it below in the comments. I bet others have heard the same, and together we can begin to rewrite the narrative about what love, intimacy, and connection really look like after 60. Because the truth is clear. Age doesn't close the door on romance. In many ways, it opens a brand new one. The adventure of modern senior dating. Seraphine's decision to step into the world of modern dating was not just about downloading an app. It was about stepping into a whole new culture of connection that has transformed what love looks like for seniors in the United States today. She began by creating a profile on a senior-friendly dating platform. First, she was hesitant. How do you sum up decades of experiences, lessons, heartbreaks, and triumphs in a few short paragraphs? Yet, she found that this process wasn't about competing with anyone. It was about being authentic. She highlighted her love for reading mystery novels, her passion for gardening, and her dream of taking a cross-country train trip. To her surprise, those honest little details became conversation starters that attracted people who genuinely wanted to know her. But Seraphine didn't stop there. She realized that real-world connections were just as important. She started attending local events designed for seniors. Wine tastings where conversations flowed as easily as the drinks, community volunteering projects where bonds grew naturally through shared purpose, and even senior travel clubs that organized weekend getaways. Each event wasn't just about the possibility of meeting a partner. It was about rediscovering herself in a community of people who were also choosing connection over isolation. What makes this story even more powerful is that Seraphine is part of a larger movement. Across the US, seniors are actively reshaping the way relationships begin. Take travel, for example. Senior travel clubs and 60-plus cruises are booming, and not just because of the destinations. These trips create opportunities for new friendships, late-night conversations, and yes, sometimes unexpected romance. Imagine watching a sunset in Alaska or dancing at a cruise ship gala, surrounded by people who share your stage of life. It's no wonder these experiences are becoming the new hotspots for senior dating. Then there are the active adult communities springing up all over the country. These aren't just neighborhoods. They're vibrant hubs filled with clubs, classes, and events that bring like-minded people together. For many, moving into these communities has felt less like downsizing and more like opening a door to an entirely new social life, where companionship is around every corner. And let's not forget the digital shift. The pandemic may have pushed seniors online, but many never left. Zoom dating nights, online book clubs, and virtual happy hours have become staples, creating safe spaces where seniors can connect without leaving home. For someone like Seraphine, who once believed technology was a barrier, it became a bridge to a wider world of possibilities. But wait, what about the fears and insecurities that hold us back? That's the part no one talks about, and it's exactly where Seraphine's story gets even more real. The vulnerability no one tells you. Here's the part of the story that often gets swept under the rug. The vulnerability that comes with stepping back into dating after decades away. No glossy brochure or polished dating profile can prepare you for the storm of emotions that hit when you decide to open your heart again in your 60s. For Seraphine, the excitement of possibility was shadowed by the weight of questions that gnawed at her confidence. The first was the fear of rejection. After all, she hadn't been on a date since her early 20s. Back then, rejection was painful but expected. It was part of growing up. Now, at 66, the thought of hearing "I'm not interested" felt heavier, as though it would confirm every silent doubt that whispered, "Maybe you're too old for this." That fear alone keeps so many seniors from ever sending that first message or stepping into that first event. But here's the truth. Rejection is not a reflection of worth. It's simply a mismatch, and Seraphine learned to see it as part of the process rather than a personal failure. Another hurdle was body image. Decades of living bring with them laugh lines, gray hair, scars, and changes in shape. Society often glorifies youth, leaving seniors to feel invisible or undesirable. Seraphine admitted that before her first date, she stood in front of the mirror, tugging at her dress, worrying about whether her wrinkles would overshadow her smile. What helped her shift perspective was reminding herself that at this stage of life, authenticity is far more attractive than perfection. The right person isn't searching for flawless skin. They're searching for warmth, laughter, and a genuine connection. Then there was the delicate issue of family. Seraphine's adult children adored her, but she worried how they'd react if she began dating again. Would they think she was trying to replace their father? Would they feel uncomfortable at the idea of their mother rediscovering romance and even intimacy? Instead of hiding her journey, Seraphine chose honesty. She sat them down and said, "I'm not looking to replace anyone. I'm looking to share the years I have left with someone who brings joy to my days." To her relief, her children not only accepted her decision but encouraged it, reminding her that her happiness mattered too. Have you ever worried what your children would think if you started dating again? Share your truth in the comments, because your story could ease the fears of someone else quietly struggling with the same anxiety. The truth is, vulnerability doesn't disappear with age. It evolves. But when you face it with honesty, courage, and self-compassion, it becomes the very thing that allows deeper, more meaningful relationships to form. And for Seraphine, walking through that vulnerability was what prepared her for something she hadn't dared imagine, a renewed experience of intimacy that was richer than anything she had known before. Senior sex and intimacy after 60. Let's talk about a subject many shy away from, but one that is at the heart of human connection: sex and intimacy after 60. Too often, society paints an unfair picture, as if passion has an expiration date, or as if desire vanishes once the hair turns gray. But the truth, backed by both research and lived experience, is that intimacy not only continues after 60, it often becomes deeper, more meaningful, and even healthier than before. For Seraphine, rediscovering intimacy wasn't about reliving her 20s. It was about experiencing closeness in a way that felt authentic to who she was now. Gone were the insecurities of youth, the comparisons, and the pressure to meet someone else's expectations. What replaced them was a gentler, more intentional form of connection. A simple touch of the hand, a slow dance in the living room, or laughter shared over dinner carried as much intimacy as any grand gesture. For many seniors, this shift transforms sex from a performance into a celebration of closeness. And here's something you may not know. Seniors across the US are embracing intimacy products at record levels. The market for products designed to enhance comfort, connection, and pleasure among older adults is booming. This trend reveals something powerful. It's not that seniors are stepping away from intimacy, it's that they are prioritizing it, making it work for their changing bodies and evolving needs. This openness is breaking long-held taboos and replacing them with healthier, more honest conversations. On top of that, physical intimacy offers real health benefits that go far beyond the emotional. Studies show that regular intimacy reduces stress levels, improves heart health, strengthens the immune system, and may even extend life expectancy. It is not simply about pleasure, it is about well-being. For seniors, these benefits can mean more energy, a brighter mood, and a stronger sense of vitality. But perhaps the most important truth is this. Many seniors say that intimacy after 60 is more meaningful than anything they experienced when they were younger. Why? Because it's no longer about proving anything. It's about connection, companionship, and feeling truly seen. At this age, intimacy is not rushed or pressured. It is savored. It is about presence, not performance. It is about two people choosing to share themselves fully, without fear and without pretense. And this brings us back to Seraphine. You've seen her journey through doubt, courage, and vulnerability. But what happened next in her story? Well, it's not what you might expect. And it just might change the way you think about love after 60. After months of putting herself out there, navigating doubts and embracing new experiences, Seraphine's story took an unexpected turn. She joined a senior travel club on a whim, thinking it would be a chance to see new places and meet people without the pressure of dating. What she didn't expect was meeting Harold, a 71-year-old widower with a warm laugh and a love for photography. Their first conversation wasn't about romance at all. It was about the best way to capture a sunset on camera during the group's trip to Savannah. Simple, genuine, and unforced. From that moment, their connection unfolded slowly. They discovered shared hobbies, gardening, classical music, and a mutual love for travel. Instead of rushing, they spent time walking together, sharing meals, and telling stories from their very different life journeys. What made their bond powerful wasn't instant fireworks, but a steady flame that grew brighter with each shared moment. Seraphine realized that companionship doesn't have to be rushed to be meaningful. Sometimes it's the unhurried pace that makes it richer. As weeks turned into months, that companionship naturally blossomed into something more. The intimacy that followed wasn't about reclaiming youth. It was about honoring the present. For Seraphine, it was a rediscovery of touch, laughter, and the simple joy of being desired again. For Harold, it was about finding comfort in the arms of someone who understood the ache of loss but also the courage to love again. Together, they crafted a bond rooted in both tenderness and resilience. The emotional transformation was undeniable. Seraphine, who once feared she was too late for love, found herself saying words she never imagined. At 66, I've discovered a freedom in love I never knew when I was younger. She wasn't talking about the thrill of being courted or the novelty of dating. She was talking about the freedom to love on her own terms, without pressure, without pretense, and without fear of judgment. That freedom, she discovered, was the greatest gift of all. And now I want to turn this question over to you. Have you ever felt that spark after 60? The kind of spark that reminded you that your heart still has room to grow, no matter your age? If so, let's celebrate those moments in the comments below. Your story may be the reminder someone else needs to believe that their own transformation is still possible. Because as Seraphine's journey shows us, love after 60 isn't about reliving the past. It's about writing a future that is just as vibrant, just as passionate, and maybe even more meaningful than ever before. Here's the truth, and it's one we don't hear nearly enough. Finding love after 60 isn't about trying to fill an empty space or replace what was lost. It's about rediscovering who you are now, your confidence, your wisdom, your playful side, and daring to live fully in this stage of life. For too long, society painted a picture that love and intimacy are for the young. But stories like Seraphine's prove that's not only wrong, it's robbing seniors of the joy that's still waiting for them. Whether it's companionship, romance, or deep intimacy, this chapter of life has its own fire. And sometimes, that fire burns brighter because it's built on authenticity and experience, not pressure or performance. So if this conversation is striking a chord in you, let's do something powerful together. Don't just sit back and watch. Take a moment right now to hit that like button. Why? Because every single like pushes this message further into YouTube's algorithm. It means more seniors, people who may be quietly wondering if they're too old for love, will discover that they're not alone. Your like isn't just a button click. It's a signal, a ripple that tells the world, our voices matter. Our stories matter. And I promise you, someone out there will find hope today because of it. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe, because this journey doesn't end here. Next week, we're diving into something even more exciting. The 3 powerful secrets seniors are using right now to keep passion alive well into their 70s. And yes, even their 80s. You won't want to miss it, and by subscribing, you'll be the first to know when it drops. This community isn't just about sharing advice. It's about creating a movement where seniors support seniors in rewriting the rules of love, intimacy, and connection. So let me leave you with this thought. Love after 60 is not a second chance. It's a whole new beginning. It's not about going backwards. It's about riding forward. Whether you're just dipping your toe back into the dating world or already in a new relationship, remember this. Your story is still being written, and the best chapters may still be ahead. So go out there, dare to rediscover yourself, and embrace love in all the ways it shows up. Because the truth is, your age doesn't define your worth. Your courage to love again does.